welcome everybody to the Acid Academy Zoom party. Thank you so much for everybody logging in tonight. We've got some people that unfortunately couldn't get in because it's been not popular. We have, can I just say thank you as well to Steph, Bailey, Shervin and Sai and Angus, of course, for helping put all this together. It's our first one, so just bear with us on this. I'm Debbie Dorans. I'm an Acid Academy mentor, T60 coach, and I run the monthly networking meetings for Acid Academy. Angus, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Angus Griffin. I'm an Acid Academy mentor. I'm here because I was forced to be here by Debbie. I'm also here because I kind of thought when Ant got ill first time and Dec didn't have a partner, that there was a gap in the market. No one came to talk to me about it, and I was a bit upset about that. So I just want to use this as a stepping stone to basically get into TV presenting in the event that Ant gets ill again. So that's why I'm here. I think, yeah, bear with us. This is the first one, isn't it, Debbie? Your idea.
You're saying about Ant and Dec, but I think I'll probably end up more like the two Ronnies myself. It's so exciting. We've got an amazing lineup for everybody. Why we put this together was I was missing, being selfish, I was missing our Northeast networking meeting every month. And then I mentioned it to Angus and said, you know, and Steph and Sherwin should put something together. Then Angus just started inviting everybody. So I honestly don't know where this is going to go, what's going to happen, but we're here in it together to support each other. So let's just crack on with it. And yeah, let's have a good time. Let's have a party. Zoom party for Acid Academy.
Yeah, bear with us, guys. We've got no idea where this is going to end up. But well done for logging on. This was locked out from about 15 minutes before we started. So well done for being there and logging on. Just try and keep yourself muted if you can do throughout the entire thing. We've got Shervin in the background who's going to try and help us do that. But just don't turn yourself on when you go for a wee or something like that. What we're going to do is encourage you to keep your cameras on. This is the whole point of it. Please keep your cameras on. It's so you can see people. It is different. So please keep them on. And there's going to be the opportunity at times to ask questions, especially when Martin's talking. If you've got a question, stick it in the chat box below, and Debbie and I will try our best to pick up as many as we can. But Debbie, have you got a secret to tell people?
I have got a secret, my dear. So the secret is that you used to have a Yes networking meeting every month, and that is now changed. So we are having, we're same network meetings, which are Acid Academy, which are going to be called Epic meetings. So the Epic meetings are going to be amazing. We're going to have them all over the UK. You will get support, you will get your network, you will have your mentors will be there, your online training's the same. It's going to be, you know, we're all going to work together and you'll have everything there that you had before, but even more. It's going to be Acid Academy on steroids, basically. And we're so excited by the time we get out of this coronavirus carry on, and we're all ready to rock and roll and support you through your journey. So don't worry about everything. Everybody's still together, and yeah, we're going to be stronger than ever. So we're really excited about that, aren't we, Angus?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we hope that tonight we've got a bit of a star-studded lineup for you as a start. God knows how we managed to get these people. You know, I think someone must have been drinking when they agreed to it, but never mind. Hopefully there's no one important on the call. And if there is, Shervin, just kick them off. We've got a great lineup for you tonight. We're going to do a bit of a warm-up I'm going to tell you about in a second. Then we've got our own legendary Mark Dalton, who Debbie and I are going to interview. We've picked up some questions. We're going to interview him and hopefully kind of pick up on some key issues in terms of what's going on at the moment and get his input on that. And then obviously we've got the legendary Martin Roberts coming along to talk to us a bit about his career, his investing principles, and how he sees stuff at the moment. So a lot to get through. So let's get cracking.
Angus,
one thing I want to mention before we move on, guys, this is a large 300 people Zoom meeting for security reasons. If you see a link in the chat, please do not click it. We will not be sharing any links throughout the whole thing. So just make sure you're secure by not clicking on anything in the chat. You can read them all fine, but don't click on any links. Thank you.
Perfect. So first up, we've got a guy called Sai Chan also known as Spider Chan. Si is a personal trainer. And before we get started, we need to get the juices going. We need to loosen up. Yeah, and Si is going to help us do that. Si is the founder of an exercise plan called Spider Size, which combines fitness and nutrition. He's been a personal trainer for 18 years. He's worked with hundreds of clients, but more importantly, he's an Asset Academy student, and he's coming along tonight to volunteer to give us time to help us just loosen ourselves up, ready for tonight. Something he actually does at the Yes, or the former Yes Newcastle meeting. So we thought, let's take it national. Let's get Si on to loosen us all up and get some of his health and nutrition tips at the same time. So Si, over to you.
Oh, Shannon.
I will. There you go.
Am I in? Right, okay. So I'm just gonna get you warmed up, all right? So this is just 4 minutes of work and everyone needs to participate because the reason is my 7-month pregnant wife is gonna join in. She's gonna give you some of the easy options. I'm gonna give you some of the harder ones. Remember, just get your juices going, get your mind clear and focused. So we're gonna start some music. You should be able to hear that very shortly. Don't start until I start. I wanna see everybody get up. From ones I can see anyway, yeah, I can see them, all right. I'm gonna start soon, not yet, yep, cool, looking good. So, remember, mine's the harder option, Vicky's is the slightly easier.
Energy workout.
Okay, ready?
Your training starts in 4,
4,
3,
2, 1. So you do squats? All right, let's go, let me see some squats. It's 9 seconds of normal squats, yeah, let's go, Jerry. So Vicky can do it, you can do it. Now you want to make it harder. Let's go harder, shall we? Yeah. Woo.
This is the way
Halfway. Remember, you can go easy. Right, halfway there. Now if you're really tired, you can go back to normal squats. That's okay. We've got about 20 seconds left. Yeah. Keep that chest up, head high. Or you can have the jump squats. Yeah. Hold those legs. Woo. Keep going. Oh, that's good.
One now.
One, okay, shake it off. 15 seconds rest. Right, so this is just going to be nice and easy. That was the hard one. This next one's slightly easier. You ready? Think it's the easy one?
4,
3, 2, 1. So just lean forward, stretch back your legs, stand up. That's all you've got to do. Dead simple. This should be slightly easier. Breathe out. Stretch back your legs. Keep this tight. Keep this tight. Just like that. It's like a hip thrust. Squeeze the bum. If you want to make it harder, do one leg. That's halfway. That's it, like that. Nearly there.
We need the music louder.
Breath back. From the jump squats. Or the squats.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Alright, got 2 more exercises, 15 seconds now. I'm going to be doing something called a Spider-Man climber.
Ready.
Vicky's going to just lift the knees up. So you watch Vicky, or you try to get them to floor for me.
4, 3,
So it's like this,
1.
like this for me. Or you can follow Vicky. That's it, just keep that head forward. Keep everything, this is great for your stomach. Yeah. Keep that going. So there's one more exercise after this, and that's the hardest one. Halfway. That's it. So keep stomach tight. I can see. Oh, that's good. Keep going. 45 seconds. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh my God, people are putting real effort into it. I love it. I love it. Woo!
Oh, look at that. Right, last exercise. I'm going to make it hard. Make it easy. Everyone knows what a burpee is. I'm going to try and do a burpee, okay? If you know what burpees are, do them. Vicky's going to do something like a fake jump, so this is me. This is tough. Oh. Oh, you can follow, Vicky. Well done, Vic. Try to get to halfway. Woo.
Halfway there.
Well, that's too hard. Let's just do this.
My God, my knees are killing.
Nice.
Woo!
Exercise. Oh, 5 seconds, I reckon. Coming up. 4, 3,
2, 1.
Yay! Woo!
I'll take it off. I'll switch this off.
Woo! Woo! Well done, everyone. My God, that was amazing. Feel all energetic now, ready to rock and roll with our amazing speakers. Out of breath. Well done, everyone. People are putting a lot of effort into that, weren't they, Angus?
I'll say, I'm knackered, me. I can see why Si had his gym kit on.
Yeah.
But Si's going to tell us not only that. I think Si's going to tell us a little bit about nutrition as well, because I don't know about you, but I'm being a bit of a fatty during COVID-19. So maybe you can help us, bring us some tips as to actually, how we can maintain our health during this period indoors.
Sure. Right. So, thanks, Angus. So, I'm going to just share my screen to everybody. It's just a simple one slide there, so you can see. I did a presentation a couple of weeks back, specifically for today's climate. So, thanks for Derry and Angus asking me to share this. I call it my 4 pillars of health. It might seem really obvious. I'm just going to quickly go through with them with you now. So, in terms of stress, the first pillar, it's not more stress, it's clearly less stress. We're under quite a lot of chronic stress. But stress it could be anything. It could be anxiety, it could be not doing the things that you want to do or you're supposed to do. We don't want any of those things inside, because at this time, your immune system is by far the most important point. So one of the things to manage your stress is breathing, or meditative breathing. Now, my 4 pillars of health is very practical. So I just want to show you some very simple tips, and some of them will have immediate response. And this is one of them, and that's the breathing exercise. So very, very simple is you're supposed to do 30 deep breaths, just deep breaths. There's no right or wrong way, through your nose or through your mouth. Now I want to just kind of make it clear, if you've never done this before, by the breath 5 or 10, you will feel slightly dizzy. So make sure you don't do this whilst driving. Don't do this whilst taking a bath. Probably best idea to do it lying down. This, after 30 breaths, you will feel an immediate physiological response. I guarantee you that. So what you do is, after 30 breaths, you exhale everything out, you hold as long as you can, and then once you can't hold anymore, it could be 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 1 minute, you simply just take one breath, hold it for about 10 seconds, and that's classed as 1 round. If you can, do 3 rounds, ideally 4 rounds, and just watch how you just chill out. But more importantly, it's scientifically backed. If you do this type of breathing, you have a direct effect on your immune response, which is what you want. So that's stress. Pillar number 2 is the diet. Now, the diet side can get really complicated, but essentially there's 2 things I want to cover with diet. We don't have enough high quality protein. So if I was to throw a generic number without knowing you in person, high quality protein, you need this 30 grams, okay, per day, and make sure that you actually do have I would say, the highest quality that you can afford to purchase. Because when we're weak, when we're fatigued, when we run down, think of it as your body is using it as a bank, as a reserve. It will pull the protein to help you repair, which is essential. The second part, very quickly, is your hydration. Yes, we all know we're supposed to have more water. However, there is one point that you should hydrate, and that is first thing in the morning. The reason being is, even when you're about 5 to 10% dehydrated, you will start creating really bad copies of your DNA, which basically transfers to higher chances of tumor, cancer, and definitely affects your immune system just by being dehydrated. So I would suggest drink it first thing in the morning, about a pint, maybe 2 pints if you can. Add some lemon, add some pink salt, just to hydrate quickly. And that's pillar number 2, another practical hack. So the third one, very, very simple. Exercise. What I want to be clear with in terms of exercise is you cannot or you should not now be doing exercise that is destroying your immune system. So no high intensity, super high intensity stuff. No like metabolic resistance things. You want to create exercise with structure and routine so you can do it consistently. So what I use in my clients is something called a TED scale. I'm going to share that with you. It's very simple to remember. So T represents your technique. So I don't care what you do, whether it's Pilates, yogas, weightlifting, whatever it is. Your technique should be 8 or higher, 10 being the best, 10 being terrible. Right? T. Your E is TE, yeah? TE is your exertion. Your exertion should be 6 or higher. But here's the next one. 3 or lower. So D, discomfort, should be 3 or lower. If you use this as a scale and you get your technique 8 or higher, exertion 6 or higher, but your discomfort 3 or lower, you'll be injury-free, you'll be able to exercise consistently, and you won't have those breaks where you just think, I cannot keep doing this, and that's key for exercise. The final pillar is sleep. Now, if I was to, I'm going to read this, if I was to say pharmaceutical companies gave you a pill that gives you longer life, enhances your memory, slims you down, reduces your craving, protects you from cancer, dementia, shields you against things like colds, flu, viruses, boosts your immune system, reduces diseases, reduces heart diseases, strokes, makes you happier, gets you less depressed, reduces anxiety, we would all go and no matter the cost, we will buy that pill. Guess what? That's sleep. All science backed, and one of the most practical things to get better sleep is not always longer sleep, but ideally if you can, 7 to 9 hours. But here's a little thing. If you are struggling from sleep, what I suggest is you have no tech at least 30 minutes, ideally 60 minutes before you sleep. And that in about 7 days consecutive, your sleep will improve, okay? So those are my 4 pillars, very simple, very to do, stress, diet, exercise, and sleep. And I've also got, just if you can see the website there, if you really want to know a little bit more about diet, about specific, because it gets quite interesting, gets quite big complications, I can share with you a kitchen walkthrough of what we would do, or what I would suggest as a quarantine guide. Just go on that site, and I'll just be able to send you that individually. And I hope that helps you and serves you well. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Si. That was amazing. Thank you.
Let me unshare this. Thank you. There you go.
Thanks. Thanks, Si. Is Shervin still there?
Yep, I'm still here. We also have Mark Dalton. I'm just going to unmute him for a quick second. Hello, Mark, you should be unmuted now.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mark, we can hear you, my darling. Welcome.
That's cool. Away you go. Who wants to ask me? Who wants to ask me some questions, Angus, Griffin, or Debbie? Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to do a chat first, or
Whatever. What I'll let you do whatever you want to do. Yeah. I'm here as far as I'm concerned, just to support you as much as I can, Debbie. So I know that you had some questions lined up. I know that you're going to pass them over to me. So just fire them off. Be as random as you want, and I'll try and serve you the best I can.
Thanks, Mark. Angus, can somebody unmute Angus?
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thought you were sick of us already. So, Mark, thanks for coming. Most of you will know Mark Dalton. For those of you who don't know Mark Dalton, how do I describe Mark? There isn't much Mark doesn't know about property. So there's rumours out there that, you know, Adam and Eve out the Bible, right? There's rumours out there that Mark rented them their first 2-bed flat. Don't know whether that's true or not, right? But basically, think of Mark as kind of the Yoda of property, okay? Anyone who knows anything about property has probably been taught, at least in part, by Mark. So we wanted to get him on tonight, and we thought that Debbie and I would kind of collated some questions. We thought we'd talk to him and interview him about how we're doing in today's market, what we should be thinking about. So, you know, I'll kick off, Mark. So what I'm keen to know is, what everyone's keen to know is, what are you doing in your business right now that you think everyone should be doing?
What I'm doing right now. All right, very good question. Right, so it's, to be honest, I've already done it. Yeah. Right. So the main part of it was, as soon as all this hit, was do a risk assessment. Yeah. And I'm sure plenty of people have been talking about risk assessments through the early part of this pandemic as such. And a risk assessment to me is just making sure where I know what's happening with my cash. So number one is doing the traffic light system, if you've heard of that, around the around your tenants. Who are the ones who are definitely going to be paying? Who are the ones that are maybe a little bit borderline? And who are the ones that are going to struggle? And the ones that are going to struggle are obviously the ones that need the most help and pointing in the right directions. So that's the initial risk assessment, making sure as much cash is coming in as possible and protecting the cash flows as much as possible. But at the same time, you've got to remember that I'm a little bit longer in the tooth. I've been in the game quite a bit longer, although I'm still learning myself. I've got to say that, at all times you're always learning, you're always picking up new things. But the other piece around the business here is just making sure that you're communicating with everybody within the portfolio. Yeah, right. Now, for somebody like me, who's got quite a lot of tenants, we do a lot of self-managing. Right, so we are lucky is that we can actually get through to the majority of our tenants. And I've got to say, all I'm thinking of, it's only a handful of people that I have not personally spoken to, or Elaine hasn't spoken to. So we know all their positions, we know exactly where they are. Yeah, right. Now, with regard to putting the plan together, you've got, as I was saying there, you've got to remember that my plan is in place. It's a very simple plan. I just buy smelly houses, fix them up and rent them out. I don't do anything fancy or anything sexy. A lot of you will know that already. I'm not a developer or anything like that. I just, as I say, I buy smelly houses, I fix them up and I rent them out. And I put them out to, and this is where, one of the strategies that everybody knows about now, everybody starts to see it, because in the downturn, everybody goes, oh God, I never really thought how important it was. It was a social housing strategy, housing benefit. So that's roughly the main stuff that I've been doing. But somebody asked me, Mark, what should I be doing right now? And I've just sent them a text back and I've said, plan a bit more, and then when you finish planning a bit more, plan an even bit more further down the road. It's just one of those things that happens in property, in investing, in life. There is winters, there are summers, and right now it's a little bit of a winter. It's a little bit of a winter, though not as much of a winter as 2008. Yeah. It might turn into a winter like 2008 if this progresses, and if this progresses and we don't come out of lockdown quicker than we think. If we're still in lockdown the back end of the summer, then challenges are going to come from all over the place. Yeah, absolutely all over the place. Yeah. So hopefully that answers that one for you, Angus.
Yep.
Mark, can I ask you what people should not be doing now? So,
what people shouldn't be doing?
Shouldn't be doing now.
Right. So, in general, the people that are working with me, I'm telling them to hold off. Yeah. So don't buy today. Yeah. And preserve your cash. Keep hold of your cash. Yeah. Right. So the question there comes, oh, it's a great opportunity. Right. Well, it was a great opportunity probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, yeah, a month ago, yeah, right. But we don't know when we're going to come out the back of this, yeah. And what you think might be a good opportunity today might look totally different in 3 months, 6 months down the road. all right, because I don't know whether you feel it or not, but there'll definitely be a softening of the market. Of the market out there, guys. There will definitely be. Let's say that you were making your assumptions that properties were valued at the best part of £100,000. Well, I don't care where you are in the country right now. For you to knock 10% off, to me, is just is prudent. Yeah, 10% in some parts of the country, you know. In London, you know, that can equate to many thousands of pounds, yeah, tens of thousands of pounds. So that's one thing. I don't know what the true value of properties will be. To be honest, I'm hoping they're going to be down. In fact, the great thing, you know, the great thing about property is you're making money on the upside when the markets are going up, right? You make money on the downside. The reason you make money on the downside, because it's now cheaper to buy into a property, yeah, but the rents haven't dropped, yeah, and the rents are stable. So cash flow will increase. I'm not saying today, but in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months time, I'm going to say prepare for a good 18 months of a little bit of chaos in the market. But that's your buying opportunity, I'm not being negative about property long term. I mean, I'm more than happy in property, but I wouldn't be, unless it was an absolutely quality deal, I would not be buying today. Yeah. And it would have to be a quality deal. Nobody has put an absolute quality deal in front of me since we started this. If people have just got into deals, it doesn't matter. You're in there. It worked. The cash flow should be okay. The cash flow should protect you in the downturn. So you just by following the model that you're taught by Asset Academy and the model that we've all been taught over, you know, nearly 20 years now that I've been doing this, right, stands up. Right, it's quite easy to make money on the upside. Right, this is where you really find out the people that have been doing it right, and it is by buying cash flow. Right, but for the people that are just starting out, and I'm sure that there's plenty of people starting out here tonight. Right, and the main message for you is there that the long-term fundamentals of the UK property market are all still in place. Right, we're not building enough homes. There's a greater supply than there is demand, and my God, you know, this is a country, the UK, where people are actually trying to get into, not get out of. Yeah, so it's still, I would call that a mega trend in my world. And the moment that I say that trend is broken, then everybody, you stop buying, but you carry on keeping hold of your properties. Yeah, does that make sense? Does that help you a little bit, Debbie? A little bit long-winded, right? If you're into deals, you're not buying them today, no matter how good you think they are, right? If you're not 100% sure, just whiz them past me. If you look on my name there, it's got my Instagram handle. Yeah, feel free to direct message me and just say, Mark, what do you think of this deal? And I'll pull it apart straight away. Yeah. Takes a lot of persuading. Yeah. No
Perfect,
risk.
Mark, you've probably touched on this to some extent in your last answer, but if there's anything else, I just want to tease it out. What lessons from previous recessions or like black swan events like 9/11 can we apply to this scenario which we're going through today?
The lesson, right? Can I share a slide here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hold on, can't find it. Is that it? Yeah. Right. Has that come up? Does it say stress test?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. For those of you that have been on Creative Finance, you'll have seen this. Yeah. And that to me is your insurance policy. The trouble is nobody wants to even think about that slide when we're doing Creative Finance. Yeah. I always say look, this is for the guys that have already got the portfolios built. If you're growing your portfolio, house number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can't really apply this. But then as you grow, at least once a year, just apply this because it will highlight where potentially some of the risks lie, right? So and we asked the question, what would happen if property prices fell by 25% overnight? What would happen if interest rates shot up to 7%? What would happen if 20% of your tenants weren't paying? Yeah. Okay. And all that happened on the same day. Right? So you can do a quick stress test on a spreadsheet, and that will show you potentially where you're more susceptible to failing. Yeah. And I say failing because if you even know about that, it will help you. Then right at the very bottom, 2008, and it's already started happening now, people are coming to me and saying, Mark, I've got myself in a hole, can you dig me out? And it's not the people that buy cash flow properties that are coming to me and saying that, it's the people that are in developments that are coming to me and saying that, because they don't have the cash flow to protect it. Their payday is at the end of a project. And right now, right, those projects aren't moving forward in any way, shape or form. Their assumptions that property values would be X when they were getting into the deal are now minus X. Yeah, so they're at risk and they've not got cash flow. Yeah, so one of the other bits that I tried to get people to think about, and this is what protected me in 2008, was some very strong financial habits, knowing what's coming in, knowing what's going out. Not just in property, but also in your personal life, and try and build up over a period of time. And again, this is for people that are just starting out. Don't use all your cash, all your personal cash into deals. Actually have a good 6 months mortgage payments put by for each property. Right, and then if the market does go down, at least you can pay your mortgages for 6 months. That's for 6 months. Right, now the other bit that goes there, if you've only got one property, there's a chance that could happen. But the more properties that you've actually got, there's less chance of you needing that fund, and that allows you to sleep really well at night, guys. Yeah, to me, right. That there at the bottom, strong financial habits, 6 months mortgage payments, to me, that is where most people fail. And I just see it consistently. People want to make money out of property, but Jim Rohn says it, if you can't manage the small stuff, do not expect to manage the big stuff. Yeah, then nobody's going to give you loads of money. You've got to manage it right from the word go. So that would be the main thing that I would be telling people, Angus. Yeah. Let me come back on. Yeah, how do I get myself back on? Click on that screen. Is that what I do?
Click on stop screen sharing.
Stop screen sharing. How do I do that? Yeah. Cancel the spotlight video. What's that?
I've just done that for you.
There we go. Thanks, Siobhan.
No problem.
Hi, Mark. Can I ask another question?
Oh, go on.
Just one. How are you calming angels at the minute? Are angels panicking? And what are you?
I'm not seeing a lot of evidence of angels panicking. In fact, slightly the other way. But I can understand if an angel is panicking a little bit, because the person that they're investing with, they've really, the money that's being taken from the angel is part of their personal reserve. Yeah, right. And because it was part of their personal reserve, they feel under threat, and they might be asking for the money back. Well, the first thing I would be saying is, look, number one, we can't refinance at this moment in time. That would be the first bit, right? But rest assured, we will do whatever we can to try and get another angel in place to replace you. Might take a month, might take 2 months, but then we just go into all the stuff that we do on creative finance, making sure that we're sowing plenty of seeds, yeah, with lots of people, yeah, right. So that's dealing with angels right now. If an angel, gets a little bit heavy on you, right, just say, look, I'm doing whatever I can, right, and I'll make sure that I get this money back to you, but don't put me under pressure, because if you put pressure, I'm not going to be able to perform. But I will do whatever it takes to try and get your position replaced by somebody else. Does that help, Debbie?
Yes, because we all should have had our exits in place and anyway in a second.
Yeah, definitely. And you should have a list of angels as long as your arm wanting to get involved with you. Yeah, if you apply it in the way that that we try and teach you.
Yeah. Angus, have you got any more questions?
Angus has decided to leave. No, he's there.
He loves his headphones. He thinks he looks like some sort of top DJ.
Just trying to get Martin on. Martin, you've talked about existing angels. What scripts are you using for new angels now? How have you tweaked what you?
For new angels, so
yeah,
right. So you know it's all about creating conversations, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. All of you that are on this Zoom call right now, all of you that are on this Zoom call, I want you to do me one thing. Right. Go down to the reaction button on your screen, right, and put thumbs up if you understand about creating conversations. Yeah. Just do that for me. Creating conversations. I'm seeing quite a lot. I'm seeing quite a lot. I'm going through it. Yeah, it's looking good, but there are people out there that obviously don't know how to create the conversations. Yeah, okay, right. Well, this isn't the platform to actually put that on. Okay, right. How do I get back to my photo? Yeah, Siobhan, can you get me back on screen? I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, everybody is seeing your screen.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm there. All right. So with this would be the typical script that we would use today. So somebody would say to you, "How are you? You know, how are you getting on with what's going on?" And you go, "Oh yeah, it's pretty poor out there. It's pretty dismal out there." But I tell you what, I'm really thankful that I started getting involved in this property stuff. Yeah. And they will say to you, "What property stuff?" Yeah. If they knew about the property, right, they would carry on from there. But if they didn't know, they definitely now know. And if they say, "Oh, what property stuff?" "Oh, you know, I'm going to be buying those smelly houses, fixing them up and renting them out." "Oh, tell me more." "Well, we're just going to be doing it for our pension, and especially now because of what's going on, we want to make sure that we've got income streams coming in the future that we can rely on." "Oh, tell me more about that." "No, I'll tell you what, when I get my next live deal, let me put it in front of you. And if you want to get involved, then boom." Yep. Okay. All right. I make it sound so easy, that bit, don't I? Yeah.
Boom.
Boom. Yeah. Okay. All right. Does that help? Yeah. Again, put a thumbs up if that helped, guys. Yeah. Put a thumbs up if it helps. Go down to the reaction button and press the up. That's lovely. Yeah. Let me just go across it again, making sure that I'm seeing lots of thumbs. Okay. All right. I've gone across 4 or 5 different screens there, and I've seen lots of thumbs. Thanks for that. I don't know how I am for time, Angus. You tell me. But if you want to ask another question,
keep going for now. Debbie's going to ping another one at you.
We're going to get as much
okay. All right, Debbie.
As possible. Mark, what strategies do you see us having a greater role to play going forward?
Right. In English, can you say that, please?
What strategies? Have I got a Geordie interpreter out there? What strategies do you see going forward?
Really, it's all the core strategies. It's baby buy-to-lets, the no-brainers. Yeah. It's a no-brainer. Upgrade into multi-lets and social housing. They're the main strategies that virtually, you know, anybody that's coming through AA right now, or anybody that's been in AA like yourselves for, I mean, Debbie, you've got to be what, 12, 13 years? I don't know.
Yeah. 2007 when the first...
something like that. To me, it's all the same. Yeah. You don't have to get clever, right? The trick here is learn the strategies and then just be consistent in doing it for the rest of your life. Yeah. You know, I always say I'm never ever going to buy another house in Blackpool ever. I don't.
It's amazing, that, Debbie. How long have you been investing for? Because you told me you're only 29.
I am 29. I was very young. Mark, thanks a bunch.
Can I put one thing in here? You know, if there's one thing I want you all all to take away from my bit tonight is, right, there's lots going on out there. There's lots of noise. There's lots of commentary going on out there. Yeah. Right. However, you're not in control of a lot of the stuff that's actually happening out there. Yeah. You're not in control in any way, shape or form. And the phrase that I know when I was doing the 3-day stuff, there's only one economy you need to worry about, and that's your own. Right, and you can control that. Yeah, you can control how you're feeling about this. You can say to yourself, right, I've got an opportunity here. I can spend time with my family. I can learn new tricks. Look, me having to do a video call like this, to me, I've just come into the 21st century. Yeah, that's nothing, right? Because we're having to do creative finance in 2 weekends, in a week, 2 weekends time. Oh my God, is my learning curve going through the roof? But that will be a valuable tool for me further down the road. Yeah, right. So I'm getting the opportunity to learn, and everybody should be learning. And focusing on what you can do. People say to me, well, I can't really do much in my job. Yeah, yes, you can do more in your job. You can go to your boss and say, give me some more responsibility. I want more responsibility. Yeah. And if he turns around and says no, go and ask him in another week. Yeah. So as you become a valuable team player. Yeah. And because you become a valuable team player, up goes your incomes. Yeah. Within the property side, don't try and get clever. Just do the basics really, really well. That's where most people fail. That's why they don't achieve, is because they try to go too fast, too quickly. Yeah. Whereas they should be doing the basics well. Become a master of doing the basics. Write that down, some of you, because becoming the master is really where it's all at. Yeah. Becoming the master of collecting income generating properties. Yeah. Okay. Does that help?
It does.
Right. Right, just from my bit, right, do me a favor, go down to that reaction button. If it's been valuable to you, put your thumbs up. If it's not been valuable to you, keep your thumbs down. Don't put anything. Yeah. Okay. All right.
No,
let me go across the screens. I need to go across the screens. Rachel Gregory, I can see you there. Yeah. Spider, I can see you. Angus, I can see you. I can see loads of people here. Cody, I can see you. Elsie and Marcus, I can see you guys. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. Joe Bloomfield, I see you, mate. Yeah. Janet Griffin, how are you, my girl? Yes. Natasha Collier, yes, I see you. John Catchpole, I can see you down there as well, all the way down from London. Who else can I see there? David Williams, yeah, add his thumb up. Keep the thumbs up, guys, keep the thumbs up, just so as I can go across and see. I know I'm being cheeky, but I just like to see who's on the Niall. I see you down there as well, yeah, with your thumb up. Amanda, hi Amanda, yeah, I see you there. Another across another screen. Adam Garland, I see you there, my boy. Sophie Scott, I see you. Jan Chapman, I see you. Michael Forrest, how are you, my boy? Long time no see. We need to get together at some point. Yeah. Right. Hopefully that's been of value to you. Piece together what you can out of that. Take away some golden nuggets. If you want to send me a private message on Instagram, send me a private message on Instagram. You know where I am. Yeah.
Mark, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Honestly, you're well loved by everybody, especially the Northeast. So, yeah, thanks very much, my lovely.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Right. Take care. Have a good evening. And Martin, I know Martin's going to be speaking, and Martin's an absolute superstar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you.
Take care now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was amazing. Mark's full of golden nuggets and information. So Angus, is our lovely Martin Roberts on?
I'm reliably informed that he is.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi Martin, how are you?
Very good, very good.
I love your little lights in the back there.
Oh, it's like it's Christmas, right? I put them up for Christmas and, I've just never taken them down. Like, well, twinkle, twinkle, little light or whatever.
We all know Martin Roberts. So Martin Roberts, we all know him as Homes Under the Hammer. 17 years, and he's done 1,750 shows. Plus, he's been in 3,000 smelly houses. I think that's a few more than Mark Dalton, maybe. I don't know. But he has been a hugely successful investor in his own right, and obviously he's part of Asset Academy. And he's got a fantastic YouTube called, Martin has a YouTube channel called Lots of Properties Information and Tips, and he discusses do-it-yourself, auctions. We've all got time now to do things yourself in the home. So yeah, so he's absolutely amazing, and would like Angus to say a bit if he wants to, or do you want Martin Roberts just to crack on?
I think as long as Martin's going to talk to us, what I would say is get yourself over, subscribe to his YouTube channel, Martin Roberts Property Tidbits, okay? And there's a load of stuff on there. Martin's going to talk to us tonight about a bit about his investing background, his career, how he got into Homes Under the Hammer. He's also going to talk to us a little bit, hopefully, about how he sees the current environment, and maybe give us some tips about how we should be seeing it as well. So, Martin, if you're happy to go ahead, over to you.
Yeah, for sure. Hello, good evening, everybody.
Hi.
How you doing? Well, this isn't weird at all, is it, eh? What is going on? This came out of nowhere, you know. But like Mark was just saying, I see this as a real opportunity. And you know, I do a thing on a Monday called Ask Martin Monday on my Twitter, where I get people to ask me questions, and you can take part if you want. And that was one of the reasons that prompted me to set up my YouTube channel, which is Martin Roberts Property Tidbits, and it's really everything you ever want to know about property. There's a property masterclass on there. There's behind the scenes from Homes Under the Hammer. There's some DIY advice and kids DIY stuff as well. But the reason I wanted to do that, and the reason I wanted to set up the questions thing, which I do on the Monday as well, is right now more than ever, people are just wondering what is going on. You know, and the biggest question I get asked on that Monday is, you know, what do you see happening in the property world? You know, what's going to happen in the property market? And I guess it's very, very important to you if you're a property investor. Of course you are, because you're part of the Asset Academy family. And me, because I've got properties. I mean, I do this, right? I live and breathe properties like you do. So like you, I'm trying to figure out what is going to go on. And, you know, I'm actually really excited. I mean, that sounds a bit counterintuitive right now, but yeah, we do not know what is going to happen when we come out of this in terms of the financial state of the world. But what we know, I think, is that we now are hopefully wise enough to know that with the right training, which is what you've been through, and the right support, which is what you've got, you can make the most out of any situation. And actually, there's a famous quote by Warren Buffett, which is one of my favorites, which is, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. Okay. So I think there will be some amazing opportunities for property professionals when we come out of this. And I'm not saying the market might not drop. I'm not saying there's a lot of uncertainty, but I think you can turn that to your advantage. And if you stick to the basic principles that you've learned and that we've all learned about yield and about buying at undervalue and about, you know, making your money when you go into a purchase and choosing the right areas and picking areas where there's, you know, potential for growth and all those kind of things. If you stick to those same principles, then I think it is an exciting time, and that there is going to be a lot of uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds opportunity for the people who know what they're doing. Now, I think you've got to be doubly careful, and you've got to be doubly doing your research and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not fearing coming out of this. I'm seeing it as a great opportunity, but it won't be for everybody. It will be for the people who've done it, and the people who've been through the trainings with Asset, and the people who've listened to the people like Mark and me and all the team. And in terms of how you make the most of it. It's not going to be a universal opportunity. I think you're going to have to be very careful about where you invest, but and what you buy, and, you know, really look at the numbers. But I really think there's going to be some great opportunities. And so, you know, I think most people just want this to be over, right? I mean, as Mark said, he's throwing up some interesting things that, you know, I'm having time to do something which I would have never had time to do, which is set up my own YouTube channel. I should have done this years ago. You know, I should have had a YouTube channel years ago, but I haven't because I haven't got around to it. Well, now I have. So I've been doing things like filming DIY videos in the garden with my kids for kids DIY. I've been filming some property masterclass where I'm talking all about some basic investment principles of properties, you know. And so I've had time to do that. And I think actually at the moment, you know, there's no filming in Homes Under the Hammer. That's all stopped because how can you film, you know, and be socially isolated at the same time? We all know that, you know, the property auctions have all pretty much ground to a halt. So, you know, we're not doing any Homes Under the Hammer filming, and that will hopefully recommence when, you know, all this is over. So, you know, I'm having to think outside the box, like you probably are, and so that's what I've been doing, you know, and it's been. I'm actually quite buzzed because I have learnt stuff. You know, I have learned stuff that I didn't know anything about before. I used to be, oh gosh, social media and YouTube, and I've even set up a podcast. I've got some kids' books as well, children's books called The Vills. And I've got around to recording some of those stories and putting them out on a podcast, which is just called The Vills, THEVILLES. If you've got kids, check that out because they're all free. And I've also done another podcast with my best mate, who's DIY Dave, and we did some recordings for Talk Radio a few years ago, and I've just dug them out because they're just precious recordings. So I'm putting them out on a podcast. It's all stuff I wouldn't have done. So I think, yes, it's obvious that everyone's going to be a little bit like, what's happening? Because we all don't like insecurity. But I think if you've been through what you've been through, which you have to get yourself trained as you are, and even more, we need to knit together as that close-knit group and help each other out, then I think, you know, we can nail this.
Perfect. And Martin, tell us a little bit about, we've all, in our own strategies, we've all got our own investing principles, you know, the stuff that we swear by we're looking at when we look at an investment. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit about the investing principles that you've developed over your kind of time as an investor?
Well, you know, I go a lot on gut instinct, and that's not very good, really, is it? My mum always said I would buy a house because I had a funky bath plug. But you know what? It's still been pretty good stead. There's just, I think you've got to always, after you've done the numbers and you've done all the calculations and you've done all the research that you can do so easily online, you've looked at the strategies of the local authority and you've looked at outside investment that's going in. That's all great. But at the end of the day, you are buying somewhere that's going to be somebody's home. And you have to ask yourself, is this a home that I would like to live in? And what kind of person is going to want to live in this house? And if it's not the kind of home that I'd want to live in, can I make it the kind of home that I would want to live in? And so that has been my overriding strategy, really. I've never bought a house that I wouldn't want to live in or done it up in a way that I wouldn't want to live in it. And that doesn't mean I'm overspending on the refurbs because I don't have a particularly expensive tastes. So, you know, but I try to buy stuff that I just think people would want to live in. And I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in all the analysis and the strategies and the yields and the this, that, and every bloody thing else. You kind of forget the basic thing is which you are buying a house. And if you buy a house that is a desirable house, then I think you are protecting yourself in all sorts of circumstances and from all sorts of problems. And if there are downturns, problems, recorrections, whatever it is, in the coming weeks, months, whatever, I can guarantee if you've got desirable houses, they won't be as badly affected. And it's going to be the ones that aren't that desirable that actually people don't have to suffer or don't have to put up with, because there might be other opportunities for people to buy. If you've got a desirable house, you're going to be much better protected. So that's been one of my overriding things. And the other thing is, you know, just sticking to the principles of being able to add value. Okay, stuff where you can make simple changes, because we all take, I think possibly we take for granted, you know, what we do as professional property investors. Okay. You know, we don't think twice about how we would renovate a property. We don't think twice really about the color schemes we should be using. We don't think twice about, you know, getting that team of people who can do a good job, or what we should be paying to have the house rewired. It's just part and parcel of what we do, right? But most people don't know that. And I think don't take for granted the knowledge that you have. And so pick properties that you can add value to, because the majority of people wouldn't be able to do what you can do. So I think those are sort of a couple of principles that I stick to, really.
Perfect, thank you.
Have we got any questions, Angus?
We've got loads of questions, but I think before we get on to the questions, actually, I want to talk a little, so everyone knows about Martin, everyone knows about what he does. I'd like to just hear a little bit from you, Martin, if you don't mind, about how actually you got into investing and how actually you ended up getting the role on Homes Under the Hammer, just so, because everyone knows what you do. I think everyone will know a little bit about how did you get there?
Oh God, it's such a, sometimes I look back and think, you know, how the random things that happened that placed me where I am right now. And I don't know if you have got things that have happened in your life who you just think, just a little slight nudge in a road, and oh my gosh, my life is completely different as a result. I'd always been into property. I mean, growing up, my dad was a DIY person, so I just did DIY with him, and that was sort of in my blood. And then I luckily, I put this, my granny died, unfortunately, and I was lucky enough to inherit some money from her, and that gave me the deposit for my first house, which was a 3-bedroom semi-detached in Romiley in Stockport, up near Manchester. And I just bought the house, and I hadn't really got any idea about property investing at that time. But I was working in local radio, and I was working for Radio Manchester and Radio Merseyside and Radio Lancashire as a jobbing reporter, earning diddly squat, like 25 quid a week or something. And I had this house, which was my house, and I did what I knew, and I renovated the kitchen, and I knocked through the bathroom, and I sorted out the garden, and I did all sorts of stuff, and I didn't really think about it. It was just what I did. Anyway, so for various reasons, 2 years later, we had to move, and I came to sell the house, and it had gone up, had doubled its value, right? And the house prices had gone up a bit in that time, but it was because of what I'd done. And in that same time, I'd earned about 2,000 quid from the job in media, and actually it's carried on pretty much like that. But the house, I'd made 20 grand on the house, and suddenly the penny dropped. That houses just aren't a place that you know, it's a place to have over your head. They could actually be an investment, and that's where it started, really. And then in terms of that, so that went on, and then I got a job as a reporter on Radio 4, and I did lots of travel reporting on Radio 4, and that was great. And then I got a gig on Wish You Were Here, which was a TV travel show, you might remember. I mean, I was probably too young, but with Judith Chalmers. So I did that for a while, and then that ended. And one of the producers was looking for new ideas, and she came up with she said, I want to do a property idea. So she said, you know much about auctions? Well, I didn't know a lot, but between us, we sort of brought together a sort of idea for a show, which turned out to be Homes Under the Hammer. And and that's how I got started doing Homes Under the Hammer. And literally it was me and my wife, actually, Kirsty, who went to an audition. There was Lucy and her husband who went for audition, and one other couple. And out of those 6 couples, they picked me and they picked Lucy. And so for Lucy Alexander and I did Homes Under the Hammer as two people for 13 years until the rest of the team joined. So yeah, but here's one of those things in the road, and this is quite a funny story, totally random, but how I got my break into TV, and I got the Wish We Were Here job, but before that I did a little bit on kids TV. And do you remember a show called Up to You, or the 8:15 from Manchester? There were Saturday morning TV shows that came out of Manchester. But anyway, I was working in the local radio, as I said, downstairs in the building, which was shared by the BBC and BBC TV. And one day I was just finishing my shift, and I went upstairs for lunch, and the canteen was shared by the television and the radio. And I was just standing in the queue And the guy at the side of me we were just chatting, and then we came sort of moving our little trolleys down the self-service cafeteria, and there was some lemon meringue pie, and it was like bright yellow. And I said to him, "Oh my gosh, look at the lemon meringue pie." We laughed about it for 2 minutes, and because it was really phosphorescent yellow, it was like wow. And so anyway, as we were walking to pay, he said, "By the way, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I just work downstairs." He said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Well, have you ever thought about television?" I went, "No." He went, "If you ever fancy it, give me a shout. Peter, 5th floor." And I was like, "Who's Peter, 5th floor?" Anyway, so I went back to the radio station, and pure curiosity got the better of me. And I rang the switchboard and said, "Is there a Peter on the 5th floor?" And the woman on the switchboard said, "Well, only Peter, the head of television." It was like, ooh. So there you go. So actually, my career, if you want to say in television, started because I made a comment about a piece of lemon meringue pie. So sometimes in life, you've just got to recognise those little things, but actually, you won't. It's only years later you go, crikey almighty! If I hadn't mentioned that lemon meringue pie, how different my life would have been. As crazy as that.
That's an amazing story. Absolutely amazing.
It's completely true.
Yeah. Wow, fantastic. Angus, have you got anything else to ask Martin, or do you want to go on the questions?
Martin, do you mind if we just fire a couple of questions at you from people as they're listening?
Fine by me.
Off you go, Debbie.
Right, where do you want us to start from? Oh, this is the one about music on Homes and the Hammer. Question for Martin. How do you see the market looking immediately after lockdown ends? So when lockdown ends, what do you think the market's going to look like?
Well, I personally think that I'm very grateful that almost the market's on freeze, on hold, isn't it? Okay, it's been enforced on us, but there's no viewings. There's really, we're being encouraged not to complete or exchange. You can't get valuations because they've got the blah 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 blah. So by hook or by crook, we've sort of been forced into a situation where the market is pretty much on hold. But I actually think that's quite a good thing, because it has, I think, hopefully taken the heat out of the worst that might happen afterwards. It's like, I don't know, it's like where you are right now, but our supermarkets went through the most crazy panic buying. I mean, unbelievable. Maybe that was throughout the whole country. But, I went to the supermarket this morning and the shelves are back to normal. Now, there's social distancing, you have to go through this stupid thing where you're queuing up and all that kind of crap. But the people have gone, oh, okay, so I can buy toilet paper, really. Okay, I can buy potatoes. Beans, gosh, okay, I can really, can I? And everything's kind of calmed down. I think if the market had been active, we would have seen people panicking like you wouldn't believe. And I think this time of reflection, this time of not being able to do anything, I actually think it's been a great thing. It's almost like when the stock market, starts to plummet. There's something kicks in, isn't there? And the stock markets and a computer system kicks off, and it stops. The whole market just stops, just so people can actually just take a breather and go, whoa, 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 whoa. I think that's quite good. So I think the worst of what might happen won't happen because of that enforced whatever. Now, once lockdown happens, I think it's really going to be a case of seeing how the overall economy is. And, the property market doesn't like uncertainty, so you may well find there's a short-term correction and prices may be going down. But so either you say, well, that's an opportunity for you to buy prices at, properties at lower prices, or you think, okay, well, property should really be a medium to long-term investment. Mm-hmm. So whatever the prices are, it doesn't matter. If they go up, they go down, short-term, it doesn't matter. I mean, you'll feel a bit cheesed off if you see something you bought and it goes down in value, in the short term after you've bought it. I could have bought it cheaper, but that's a bit like, you just do your head in on that kind of stuff, don't you? You just have to go, well, look, I bought it for a fair price. I'm getting a good yield. Long term, it's going to be worth, I can add value to it, da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. And as long as you're not looking at, flip strategies are going to be an interesting one. I think, I don't know about flipping. I don't know immediately buying and then short term doing up and selling on. I'm going to be looking for yield, high yielding properties, stuff like that. And so we're all going to be taking a close watching brief, but I am not panicked about what's going to happen. And I think, as I said at the start, you know, you are all in a great situation where you are so ahead of the game when it comes to knowing what to look for and how to make the most of any opportunity.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people on here just drilling down and just following up on your point about strategies. A couple of people on here talking about individual strategies. So the serviced accommodation industry obviously has been hit pretty badly. The HMO market, especially down south where people have had a lot of overseas tenants in their HMOs who've gone back, that market suffered a bit. Do you see those markets kind of bouncing back when we get out to there?
Well, not surprisingly, I am a huge believer in property, and it's all about supply and demand. Now, if there is suddenly no more demand for houses to rent or HMOs to rent or houses to just generally live in, then we're all screwed. Do I think that's the case? Of course I don't. You know, if people are financially uncertain, they were thinking about buying, they're going to be more likely to be looking to somewhere to rent and just sit it out, aren't they? So I think, yeah, you're right. There is an issue of people who've got HMOs that was just purely relying on people from abroad. But are those people not going to return? What brought them here in the first place? Has that suddenly disappeared? The jobs that they had, the opportunities they saw? I mean, short term, yeah, I mean, it might be an issue, but isn't this a good time to be refurbishing those properties? I mean, I've got an HMO down in Plymouth, you know, and I've got a builder in there in the next 2 weeks because all the people in there have gone. Great. I couldn't afford to ask all those people to leave while I did a major refurb, but they've all gone. Great. I'm going to totally gut the place, do what I should have done 5 years ago. Put en suites in every room, redo the kitchen, do a total refurb now. And then it'll be ready to go. Smarter, more sparkly, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So I can recognise it might be tough short term, but try and be positive about what you can do in that time.
Yeah, I like the
Thanks.
Martin, have you got any tips on how to negotiate deals now on the lockdown? Have you got any tips for that? One of the questions that somebody's asked, how to agree deals whilst we're in lockdown. So would you be ringing estate agents up or vendors up and trying to agree on a deal beforehand, or have you got any tips on that?
Okay, so I think at the moment, you know, I haven't tried to put I've got an offer on a couple of properties on hold right now, not because I'm not ready to go ahead, but just because I think just everything is just sort of just on hold, isn't it? So I sort of feel morally obliged to follow that kind of advice. But what I am ready to do is I've made it clear to everybody I'm ready to strike the moment it comes to an end, if you like, and the restrictions are lifted. So I think what you could do is make everyone aware that you are ready to rock and roll. And if you are at the forefront of estate agents' minds saying, you know, I'm not frightened about what's going to happen. So if you've got some cracking deal, but I expect a deal right now because I think a lot of people are frightened and a lot of people are, you know, unfortunately going to have been, you know, financially, you know, hit quite hard by what's happened. And our heart goes out to those for sure. But you need to be getting it out there to your contacts that you're ready to go. You know, when this all ends, you are hot to trot. You expect a keen deal, but you're ready to raring to go. And I think if they believe that's the case, you will have them falling over to bring you, you know, really, really strong deals. Then it's just a case of analysing the opportunities you've got and just going through the usual due diligence processes and deciding which ones you're going to go for.
Yeah, I think it's actually as well, Martin, helping the estate agents and just ringing up and saying, can we help? Because property deals would have dropped off. So, and we're here ready to buy. Obviously, the price has to be right, but just they have to make their figures to survive the goals that, you know, the sales goals. And then if we can help in this market, then we'll probably remember us after that as well. So
yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. And I think, you know, now more than ever, you really want to really push the whole point that you're quick to act. Yeah. You're lined up, ready to go, 4 weeks, it'll be done. You know, really, really push that point. You're ready to go, you're hot to trot, everything's lined up. You know, you won't be messing them around. Yeah. So they can start to get some quick money back in the bank.
Yeah, yeah. Good advice.
Perfect. So Martin, everyone knows you, that you're an auction legend, and Charlotte's asked, and I know you've got videos on this actually on your Property Tippets YouTube channel. What are your tips for auctions? But also as well, what do you see people getting really wrong?
Okay. So I am a huge fan of auctions, but you do need to approach them with even more due diligence than you would otherwise, because most of the time there's stuff there that's absolutely great, but there are definitely bargains at auction, absolutely, but not all auction properties are bargains. Okay, so it's very easy to think just because it's in an auction it's a bargain. No, it doesn't work like that. You sometimes you can get better deals just by a traditional route, but sometimes you can get absolutely amazing deals at the auction. And as usual, it's a case of, you know, doing your research, doing your due diligence, working out the numbers, and really being strict with yourself, setting a budget which you do not go over, and making that budget, you know, a budget which is going to make you some money, and then really making sure you have checked out that property beforehand. So we're visiting the property with somebody who knows about building works and structural stuff. If we're not completely au fait with that kind of stuff, we're getting our solicitor to check the legal pack over. And look, I'll just bring you back to one of those old principles, okay, and that's getting your dream team around you, all right? And that, a lot of people say to me, well, how can I afford to have a survey done on each auction property, because, you know, that's 500, 600, 700 quid, and I might not get it. I might look at 10 properties, that's 7,000 quid, I might not get any. That's not going to work, is it? So the deal I've struck with my solicitor is I'm not going to pay you anything for the ones I don't get, but I'm going to pay you twice what you would normally charge for the ones I do get. So I've built a team of people. So, you know, my conveyancing charges, and I'm not saying he does a full, you know, absolute fine-tooth comb through the legal packs, but he's giving them a really good look over and red flagging anything that's bad. And he doesn't charge me for that. But when he gets one, when we get one and we get away, I pay him twice what his quote is. And that's the deal. So I can send him 10 legal packs, and he looks at 10 legal packs, doesn't charge me anything, because he knows that, you know, A, he doesn't put a shitload of work into it, but he gives it a good once over. But when he does get one, instead of getting 800 quid or 1,000 quid or whatever he's going to charge for his conveyancing, he gets 2,000. He's bought into my business, if you like. The same could apply for, you know, for surveyors. So you do, you know, do get that team around to do that. And then when it comes to the actual auction itself, you've obviously got to have your finances sorted out beforehand. You've got to know that you can raise the finance, but normal traditional lenders will borrow or lend on auction properties as long as you give them enough time. And so you'll have about 6 weeks from when the auction catalogue or the auction details of the properties, you know, are released. You've got about 6 weeks when you can visit the property, and also when you can start to engage with potential lenders about that particular property. So, you know, you can get traditional finance, but you do need to have your ducks in a row. Remember, it's 10% on the auction day and 90% within 28 days. And don't assume it's 28 days. It might be 24, it might be 21, it might be 14. I went to an auction where they had a 10-day completion, and that's really scary if you haven't got your finances sorted out. It's suicidal. So visit the property beforehand. Make sure you've had the legal pack checked out thoroughly, Make sure your finances in place, and then on the day, don't get auction fever. Don't overbid what you've calculated is the right price to pay. That's easy to do, but you can't do it. You know, there will always be another auction. There will always be another property. So don't get too hung up on a particular property. And I think if you haven't spent a fortune researching it, doing your due diligence on it, then you're a little bit more likely to let it go without too many tears.
Yeah.
But those are the few top tips, really.
Perfect. And guys, that's so important. Think about what we get taught, right? Martin's a perfect walk and talk example there of the power of relationships, the power that Martin's got in his relationship with his solicitor and what he does for him, what the solicitor does for him, but also Martin what does for his solicitor. That's really important. That's where you need to be aiming towards in your relationships with people. Now that takes time, but that's what we want to be aiming towards, a win-win for both. Okay, so that's really important to take away.
Just the one here, which I think a couple of the newbies will be thinking, Martin, what advice would you give to someone who's just sort of joined Asset Academy in January and they're starting to, you know, learn the trainings online? Obviously with all this going on, they're probably panicking a little bit. Any advice for them?
Well, yes, of course. Look, these are extraordinary times, and Asset Academy, like most businesses, has had to adapt. And that's why we're doing the online stuff. That's why we're doing, you know, the seminars online. That's why we're doing these kind of things. But trust me, if you're new to this, if you're looking at what you've seen now, you ain't seen nothing compared to when it's all up and running and you've got your advanced trainings, you know, the most incredible trainings you can possibly do. You've got the mentorships going on, all that kind of stuff. And they will all come back. Asset Academy will be there when all this is over. And it's looking like, you know, hopefully it's not going to be too long. But we're there for the long term. You know, I've been doing this, you know, the name has changed recently, but I've been involved in the organisation and all the people in it for 12 years. You know, I've put my name to this. They're my trainings. You know, they're making money from making money from property with Marty Roberts brand. You know, and you've got Steve and the, you know, and the others. Just these kind of situations sort the man out for the boys. Excuse that, there's a rather sexist comment, but you know, it's expression. Sorts the girls out for the women. I don't know, whatever. Maybe out for the girls as well. You know, and it's true. And I think probably we're going to see some of, you know, anybody else who might be doing it out there fall by the wayside. But we are there for the long term to support the students, to give them their trainings, to, you know, help them through the whole process and to help them make the most of the opportunities which I believe will be out there. But all I'd say to those people who haven't seen it in full swing, you ain't seen nothing yet, because when it's rocking and rolling and you've got all the social events, you know, you've got the symposiums and you've got, you know, the balls and the things that we do, and it's so much more than just the property training. It's all that family thing that Asset is so much about. That you are just going to go, holy cow. Yeah, so trust me, hang in there. It's worth waiting for.
I don't know about you, Debbie, but both me and my wife are desperate for me to get back out on the road mentoring. So it can't come soon enough for me. So
there's going to be a lot of divorce lawyers making a lot of money. But you know, Martin used the word adapt, and back in the day when you know, me and Jess started our property journey through Whitney 2007, you know, a month before our mentorship, all the funding got pulled. You had to earn a certain wage, you know, there was a lot of things that had to change quickly. And you know, we got into through our trainings and our network, got angel funding, we got our deals, was financially free within 2 years. So you just adapt and you use your network to do that. And this is an amazing network. You know, we've got all us here and we've got you as students. So just keep asking the questions and let's adapt and support each other to get through this. Yeah, but yeah, so it's all well worth it. There is going to be lots of opportunities, but there is no deals in the Northeast. I'm just Northeast. Martin, you should come to Geordie Land. I'll show you around. You know, get you some nice property deals.
Yeah,
So
I'd love it. And you raised a really good point there. You know, I mean, one of the nice things that has come out of this time, I think, is that most people would say that there has been a bit of a return to a community feel in general, which is really nice. People are talking to neighbours, people supporting people they don't know through delivering prescriptions and just, you know, making sure that the old lady up the road is, you know, so, you know, there might be a bit of a shift in attitudes, and I hope that continues. But, you know, I think at times like this, it's even more, you know, vital and fantastic to have the kind of group network that you've got with Asset Academy, because you are going to have times when you go, holy cataroonie, what's happening? I feel shit scared. I can't sleep at night. I'm worried about this, that, and everything else. And to be able to download that fear, most of it irrational, but it's real to you, to be able to download that with you know, somebody else who's going, shit, I couldn't sleep last night either, you know, let's just talk this through. It's just so powerful. And even more so, I mean, that's one of the great strengths of Asset Academy in general, you know, is you have got this great community and an amazing Facebook group and all that kind of stuff where people are just helping each other, and that's so fantastic. And in general, that's brilliant. But I think even more so now, you know, when, you know, everyone's a little bit frightened, everyone's a little bit uncertain, to have this kind of support and this kind of group, well, that's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I have got a very strong network, and I'm proud to be part of that as well. It's really, really good. And if any of the, you know, the newbies that, as you say, is joining in January, February, we are all here for you as well, so you can message the mentors on Facebook. We're all one, and obviously we've got more knowledge because we're longer in the truth and longer down the line, but we have been where you are now in certain ways and felt the fear, and you know, you've just got this network to help each other, and it is a really good community. So yeah,
definitely.
Martin, if we could just fire, I'm conscious of time, just fire a couple more quick ones at you. What's the worst thing that you've seen on Homes Under the Hammer?
Well, the worst thing, okay, so many stories about Homes Under the Hammer I could tell you. The thing which made me go, the first one was we walked into a house which had a fairly run-down kitchen, but there was a rabbit hutch right next to the cooker in the kitchen, as in a built-in unit, which was a rabbit hutch. Now, I wasn't sure if that was like so that, you know, Thumper could be close to the family or Thumper could be close to the oven. And so that just made me go, oh no, that's not good. One of the most scary things that ever happened. Well, okay, I'll tell you one scary story, as in a ghosty story. And then I'll tell you a funny story. The ghosty story. We were in a property actually in Newton-le-Willows, which is just outside Warrington. And we went into this house and we all felt like weird. And it was like, you know, I do believe houses have spirits, as in not spirits, but they've had so many people living in them over the years. They've absorbed that, and just, you know, you just kind of get a feeling. Anyway, whatever, maybe it's me being a soppy thing. But anyway, went to this all house. But you know, there's a hard-ass cameraman who felt the same, so it's not just me being soppy. We went into this house and it was just spooky as hell. It was just like, ugh. So anyway, we decided to do the interview in the bedroom. It was really, really crazy. This whole house had security cameras everywhere, all outside and inside in the corridors. It was like, wow. So anyway, so we started doing this interview, and we're interviewing the new owner. And there was a pendant light fitting, okay? You know, those ones with just an old-fashioned pendant light bulb on it. And halfway through the interview, for no apparent reason, because it's like a bayonet fitting, right? They don't normally fall out. This bulb of this light fitting fell out and smashed on the floor. That's spooky in its own. But here's the thing. It fell out about a metre or 3 feet away from where gravity should have let it fall. So it fell down and went and landed a metre away from where it was directly underneath it. And we were all like, get that out of here. We finished the interview really quickly and ran. So that sent shivers down my spine when I recall that story. It's like, uh-oh. But actually, interesting enough, it hasn't happened too many times. The only other time was the time we found a dead body in a property we visited, and that was a bit weird. Okay, so I need to expand on this story a bit. So we were doing a property actually in the far northwest. We were in Cumbria, on the coast, and there was this little bungalow on the coast. And it was, sometimes we visit properties, and it's pretty much like the people have left pretty recently, and sometimes, unfortunately, with evictions and stuff like that, they refuse to leave, and the house has been sold, and they still refuse to leave. That's what happened in this particular case. And the house was just, pretty much as, it was almost like the kettle was still warm and all that kind of stuff. And we went in, and the director went in first, and we were just doing something outside, and she came out ashen-faced, and she said, there's a dead body. There's a dead body in one of the bedrooms. And we're like, oh God, that's a first. So we also went, okay. So we sort of went, you can't be right, you can't be right. So we all sort of gingerly followed her into the bedroom. And sure enough, in the bedroom was the shape of a body underneath, and you could see the hair lying in the bed, right, under the sheet. We're all going, holy shit, this is just wow. And then it started snoring. Like, So this body started snoring. We're going, okay. So we sort of gingerly sort of nudged it, and eventually this thing in the bed sort of woke up, sat bolt upright, and went, "Who are you?" And I was like, "We're the team from Homes Under the Hammer." And it was like, "Where's my family?" And the family had left in such a rush that they'd forgotten to take Grandad with them.
Oh my God.
The Grandad woke up in this bed surrounded by a film crew going, "Who are you?"
Oh my God.
It was better than finding a dead body, I have to say.
Was that your funny story, or was that your, did you have another funny story? It was very funny.
That was, well, I mean, I like to think it's vaguely funny. Thanks a lot for that, Debbie. If I have to
No,
tell you
it is,
a funny
it
story,
is
wasn't that
funny.
friggin' funny, was it?
I've got that sense of humour. That would have been hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Have we got any more questions?
That was a true story.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been in Newcastle somewhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually on the coast of Cumbria, so it was the other side of the coast.
Yeah. Excellent.
So we'll just do two more, Martin, because I know we've kind of got to watch the time. Dave Nichols wants to know, in terms of property and desktop stuff we can do at home, what are the best things we could be doing now to ensure we're ready to strike after the lockdown? Okay, so you'll know the principle of investing where other people are investing. Okay, I'm not talking about punters. I'm talking about councils. I'm talking about Waitrose. I'm talking about, other supermarkets. So look always, or we're always looking, aren't we, for areas where other people are building up the infrastructure, building new shopping centres or roads or Metrolink or new train stations, all that kind of stuff. And what people don't realise often is that the plans for these things were done years ago, right? So they knew about the high-speed rail link to the Channel Tunnel probably 20 years ago. So if you'd have known and found out about those plans, which you could have done if you'd done your research, you would have thought, I wonder if near Ashford International is quite a good place to invest my money. Maybe, or if Westfield is planning, its next thing in the east of London, you might think, okay, I'll look around there. So they were all passed, right? You missed those, but there's a load more examples of that. And all the local councils publish their plans, places where investment is going to happen. You have to dig down sometimes to find it. So go root around. Find out what areas of the country have got major tourism projects or infrastructure projects, or where the next Waitrose is going to be built, or where the next Tesco's Extra is going to be built. These people are only investing huge sums of money in building a new Tesco's Extra because they know what's planned in that area. They would have been speaking to the council years ago, right? So you can find that out. So do your research on that kind of stuff, okay? And hone your skills. If you want to know more about property auctions, I've got a thing called Property Auction Masterclass.
It's a thing you can do at home. It's through Asset, and it's like a 12-hour, 6-hour, 9-hour, I can't remember what it is, long time anyway. Everything you'd ever want to know about auctions, buying at auctions. So you can follow my masterclass. There's details of that through Asset. You know, go on that course, do that course, hone your skills at auctions. You know, practice. You know, I mean, learn a skill. I mean, you can learn so much online. So why don't you just? This is a crazy idea, maybe, but you know, look on YouTube for how to plaster. Okay, I mean, I know there's only quite like practical doing it, but wouldn't it be great if you could learn how to plaster? I'm not talking about plastering a whole house, but maybe you just need a wall plaster. I mean, so learn something like that. So you know, practical things you can learn. Do research into parts of the country and see what's happening in various parts of the country. You know, expand your own knowledge. Read, do seminars. Maybe do my course, whatever. Just and if you go onto martinrobertspropertyeducation.com, there's lots of information on that. martinrobertspropertyeducation.com, that's got lots of links to all sorts of stuff that I'm doing as well. Obviously, I'll link you back to Asset Academy, and so you just think about those kind of things, but also, without being funny about this, make the most of the opportunity with your kids, if you've got kids, and to do those things that you have got an opportunity to do right now, which you might not ever be, hopefully, in this situation ever again. So if that's gardening, if that's smelling the flowers, if that's spending time with your kids that you wouldn't have otherwise done, you know, let's do all the property stuff. Let's not forget about some of the life stuff we can do as well, because that's really important, and that'll just help round you. And I'd just try and end up each day thinking, you know what, I've learned something today, I've done something positive today, I've done something that I wouldn't have done, rather than thinking, oh God, you know, if only this is out of this, well, I'll be able to do, well, I'm missing doing that. Because otherwise, yes, all those things are going on. We all know that. There's all things we're missing out on. But you're going to do your head in, because you are where you are, right? So you've either got to try and find a positive way of dealing with it by focusing on the things you can achieve. And even if that's just a little thing, like planting out a hanging basket that you wouldn't have done, right? Just try and do that, so you can end up each day going, you know what, those are 3 things that I wouldn't have done had I not been in this situation, and they were all actually quite good. So I'm not going to think about the things I couldn't do. I'm going to think about the things I did do.
Do you know what? I think that's fantastic advice. I think that's really important. You know, remembering where you come from, remembering what's important in life. You know, we've all got this opportunity. Some people are looking at it as a negative, and it will be for some people, but looking at the positives as well is really important. I think that's a perfect place to kind of wrap up on, unless you had any other questions, Debbie.
No, I've got just loads of positive feedback saying thanks, Martin, great advice.
Yeah.
Got lots of people who love you on here. Yes, love Martin.
do you know what though? Genuinely, I think, you know, Martin, it's a real privilege to have you come on and speak to people. You know, sometimes people don't get to see you throughout their journey, and God knows why you've agreed to come on with us amateurs doing this kind of thing. Well, thank you very much for willing to do it. And I know that, you know, kind of everyone's really grateful for what you've got to say and kind of the content that you put out as well. So thanks very much for that, guys. And don't forget, guys, Martin's got loads of free resources out there, especially his YouTube channel. What was it again, Martin, your YouTube channel? Just so everybody.
Yeah, the channel is Martin Roberts Property Tidbits. You can find that on YouTube, Martin Roberts Property Tidbits. And that's got also lots of links to various other things. I do like the kids' books and stuff like that. And if you go onto martinroberts.co.uk, that's got lots of links to all sorts.
Perfect.
I'm sure my subscriber numbers up on YouTube, because I think I'm really proud of the content I've got on there, but I haven't got a lot of subscribers at the moment, and I need to get a few more, otherwise I'll get very.
So Martin, you've got another 300 people on here.
If everybody here tonight who's on this, just as a small token for my time tonight, which I give with absolute love, but if you could all subscribe to my YouTube channel, Martin Roberts Property Tidbits, it would take me over 1,000 subscribers, and I would absolutely love you all forever. Yeah, as a small thing you could do for me, if you could just subscribe to my YouTube channel, it would mean so much to me. And I think you'll enjoy what I'm putting out there as well. So if you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe.
Well, guys, we'll put the link after this. Martin, okay. If you want to send, if you want to talk to me afterwards and send me through the links to anything else, like your kids' books, things like that, we're quite happy to put them out for everybody. That'd be great for them to have access to that. So I can already see about 20 people have already done it, judging by the comments.
Really? Oh, I love you. Thank you.
And given that there's 300 on here, but there's literally about 600 people who couldn't get on.
Oh, really?
Who've literally been phoning me all night, giving me abuse.
Alexandra, thank you. Alexandra, thank you.
we'll put it out on the
Abby,
recording to all them as well.
Love you,
so.
Angela, Helen, hello, thank you. I can see all these names. Will, Simon, Raphael. Oh, loving you all. Keith, JDS, hello, Keith and Yvonne. Oh, brilliant. Thank you all very much indeed.
No, oh, it's been amazing. Thank you so much, Martin. Honestly, it's been a real pleasure. And thank you for coming on, because as you say, Angus and me, this is the first one we've done, but it's more like the two Ronnies, not Ant and Dec, to be.
And finally.
Yeah, but, well, thanks very much to Martin, everybody. You know, I'll twist his arm and try and get him on again. You know, fingers crossed, if we can all subscribe to his channel, he might be willing to come back on and, you know, kind of do his favour after that. So,
subscribe as well. So there's two on each one. That'd be great. That'd be 600.
That would be absolutely amazing. I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy. I'm putting so much effort into this. I'm so proud of what I'm putting up there. It's lots of property related stuff, obviously, lots of DIY stuff and stuff for the kids as well. So it's definitely worth being part of this little channel. But yeah, if I could know that you guys, I also know that I've got friends on there, because you're all my friends. So that would really mean a huge lot to me. Martin Roberts, Property Tidbits.
All right. We'll definitely make sure they do, Martin. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think that's it, Debbie, isn't it? That's what we had to offer for people tonight.
Everybody's enjoyed that. I've just totally enjoyed it, and had some laughs and things, and had really good content as well. So yeah, I think that's it. Did you want to thank anybody?
Yeah. So listen, guys. Well, first of all, thanks to you for attending. Listen, if you liked it, right? I learned this from Mark Dalton. If you liked it, right, put something positive on Facebook, right? If you didn't like it, just love shut, right? Don't want to know about it. Keep it to yourself. You know, we may do some more of these. You know, who knows? You know, if we're allowed, people might watch it. Go, that was inappropriate. Don't do that again, Angus. But you know, let's see. I think most importantly, guys, one thing to remember is everybody who comes on here and gives their time for free. Okay, so I'd just like to say a massive thank you to Stephanie Beatty. I don't know whether you get a picture on screen, Shervin. Can you get a picture on screen so we can see what Stephanie looks like?
Oh.
Well, that's what Stephanie looks like.
Hi, you're right. Hiya.
So thank you so much to Steph, because Steph has literally dealt with every single one of your messages. She's organised it all. You know, we've kind of, you know, pushed it all to her. Stephanie, everyone who's helping is an Asset Academy student. They're all giving their time for free. We've got Shervin in the background. Shervin, put yourself on the screen. Shervin's doing the tech. Shervin let everybody in. You know, he helped me get in. You know, this wouldn't have happened without Shervin, because I'll tell you, this is the first meeting ever that Debbie has not logged herself out of halfway through, and that is completely and utterly down to Shervin. Okay, so and then of course Si, thanks very much Si for coming on and giving everyone your advice. Put Si back on screen. There he is.
Yeah, look at them.
All right, chill out.
Oh, please.
You know, Si in his very small tight shorts. Remember, if you want to see more of Si, you know, get on Spider Size. But yeah, from me and Debbie, thank you very much to everybody. Debbie?
That's just it, yeah. It's good night from him.
And it's good night from her.
Good night.
Good night.